Hey guys, my name is Cathryn Rogers and I am with Peter Wren and Lynda Querno. This is the I Want to Believe channel, and we are here to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the paranormal investigative field. So join us in just a second. Hey everyone, welcome to It's Not an Orb, It's a Dust show. So how you guys doing? It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been an eventful couple of weeks as well for me. Obviously, I've been traveling a fair bit down to the States and that kind of thing. I was hoping we were going to do a recap on tonight's show of the Good investigation, but Trevor's not back for a couple of weeks, so that gives me time to go through the remaining footage. But yeah, it was quite the adventure. I'm up to probably about 19 EVPs from the Good Insight that are very crisp in clarity. That I've thrown a lot away because there were like voices and stuff like that I couldn't even understand. And the video footage, I've probably clipped about 6 or 7 different pieces of interest on it as well, like from things being moved around and stuff like that. Place is absolutely nuts, but it was good. It was nice to get out of the country and down to the States and catch up with some old friends, that kind of thing. So
like that, and Trevor's going to be here in a couple of weeks, so you guys will be able to show us some of that stuff, eh?
Yeah, I'll have it all done by then, and hopefully Trevor will as well. But I've definitely got enough, probably for a good hour and a half of this stuff that we collected as well. And there was a lot of personal experiences there as well between. Just my team, like Jason and Olivia and stuff like that. We're very, very excited to go back next year for sure.
That's awesome. How about you, Lynda? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. We've been really busy too. We did an investigation at a very haunted inn close to home, so that was a lot of fun. And it's been really busy. A lot of hits on the website and all of that. So it's keeping all of us busy, which is good.
And the nice weather as well. I don't know what it's like in Ontario, but we had 32 degrees here in Kamloops, and boy, it's hot. So hopefully a little bit more of that, and we can see that through to a nice long summer for sure.
It's raining here.
Oh, is it? Oh, God.
Yeah, for the next few days, we're supposed to get rain and cooler temperatures, but we had that 32 degrees a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was fooled. So.
Oh, totally. Okay, for the guys tuning in, thank you very much for joining the show. And if you feel that you have any comments in relation to what we're discussing, feel free to jump in. And if there's anything that we miss on the good, on the bad, and the downright ugly, just feel free to pipe in on that as well. We're going to start with the happy stuff first, like the positive, the great things about what we do in the field. And let's start off with helping people, which is that was top on our list that we discussed earlier. So, Lynda, over to you first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is number one. We do this because we want to help people that are scared, people that don't know what's going on. And it's so great to be able to go in, find out what's going on. It's like CSI Paranormal, and help people to be less afraid or to understand what's going on in their environment. We've helped a lot of people that were afraid and scared. I mean, we had a case where we had this woman whose little boy, who was 4 years old, was seeing something in his bedroom, and it was the boogeyman, and he was afraid. And so we went in and assessed the environment, and sure enough, there was a lot going on in that particular environment, and we were able to go in, ascertain what was happening, do a cleansing of the area, and check up on them frequently in the next, year or two, just to make sure everything was okay. But they were absolutely grateful. And, there's nothing better than knowing that you've helped someone. It's a great feeling. So that is number one.
Yeah.
Cathy?
In regards to helping people?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why I actually started doing this to some degree in the first place. A lot of it it was also helping myself though. So there is a selfish aspect to it to some degree because of the activity that we were personally having in the home. But then being able to help others, it was, when I got into it, there was no investigators. That didn't exist, and the only option I think at the time was some, I don't know, metaphysical thing at the university that I found, or you could call a psychic, which was going to cost you hundreds of dollars, right? And and you were like, well, I don't know anything about this. Like this is happening in my house, and what do I do? So when that opportunity came to join a team, I absolutely jumped on it. And then through the process of that, it was like, well, if I'm going through this, who else is going through this? Who else is struggling, just to discover what it is that is happening? And that really, brought my interest. But going into what you were saying before, Lynda, especially with kids or teens, and one of the things that we really discovered was a lot of teen boys really are going, we're having a lot of paranormal issues, I guess was the best way to say it. And it was difficult for them to talk to their fathers about it because the fathers were like, poo-poo, shut up, kind of behavior. And so it really brought a difficulty to those children, right? And having somebody else come in and giving some sort of validation to the children really helped. And we saw a lot of teens that, you could see the connection between their parents getting better. You could see where the bond, between the family was growing closer just in that time that we were there, because everybody thinks it's a one night thing, but it's not. There's many hours that go into an investigation. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't really get into residential cases too much until I moved to Canada, because a lot of the places when I was living in Australia and New Zealand was just kind of public places where I got the opportunity to sneak in through the back door because it's, right place, right time, that kind of thing. And much the same to when I was in England as well. Though we did do some, but it was more, it had a different structure to what we have out in North America. But what I find out over the years, and particularly what Lynda brushed upon as well with the children and when the kids are involved as well, that kind of thing, it kind of gives you that sense of warmth, knowing that you've done a good deed in relation to that. I mean, I've kind of cases I had before with like younger children. Even I look back at one I did just before I moved from the lower mainland up into the interior, was that there was a friend of mine whose best friend daughter watched Paranormal Activity when it first came out, and it just gave her freaking nightmares about the house. And it was just our presence going in there, doing educating her about the TV show, and it's only on TV and stuff like that. And it's the power of our words as well. Like sometimes it's misinterpreted, and it is sometimes put in a negative way as well with a different holder, but we go into places and we put a lot of people at ease. And I've also worked in a lot of cases before where people are close to a degree suicide. And one particular case where there was certain investigation that was neglected in the lower mainland, I remember a lady actually committed suicide for it. So the power of our words and what we do goes a long way. And for me, obviously we've all got families and stuff like that, and it goes a long way, and it is one of the most rewarding parts of the field for sure. It does come right up at the top for me. It's the icing on the cake, especially when we validate those clients' claims, or more importantly, we find a logical explanation. Those basic protocols we have to stick by within the field, kind of thing.
Agreed.
Yes. So next one is for a good point of the field is the discovery and the validation for us. So Kathy.
Getting the validation, I think, is one of those things that at the end of the day really make it worthwhile. Right? Because I think that we talked about before the show, was the validation of perhaps that maybe there's an afterlife. And I mean, that's why I started. One of the reasons, I think it was a good reason why many people get into investigation, or even why we get the clients in the first place. So, it's having that possible validation at the end of the day. I don't know. For me, I know it sounds weird, but when you think about, the whole death process and all of that, it can be kind of depressing if you think it's black. There's nothing. That's it. Done. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you don't, go about living your life, but I mean, that thought process can be a little bit overwhelming, right? And when we get what we get off of some of like the EVP, some of the evidence that we are able to see and pick up, it gives you that hope. I mean, even no matter what faith you come from, it does give you that little bit of hope, or that it gives you that validation that maybe something is there. So I think that's how I feel about it.
I agree. I think, when you're an investigator, you're an investigator for a reason. Either you've had an experience or you're interested in the paranormal. But honestly, when you feel that there's something going on, when you feel that the atmosphere is changing and you can actually get validation that this is happening, it's a real kick. I mean, it really is. You kind of go, wow, so I'm not crazy. This is actually happening. And it's really exciting. That's pretty incredible. I mean, when you can measure what's going on and not just feel it, you see it. You see that your temperature gauge is either falling or it's rising. You're asking the air questions and you're getting responses. It's really right. It's a kick. It's the most exciting thing. And knowing that you are communicating with, quote, the great beyond is kind of interesting and exciting all at the same time. And knowing that you can validate for other people, hence helping them, going back to question number one. It's exciting. I mean, I'm sure, Pete, you must feel that too.
It is, and a lot with me, it's more, it's a validation and the discovery. And over the years with like different experiments and the different personal experiences I had and stuff like that, the greatest part about it is how my opinion changes about the afterlife. It's like, I all of a sudden my opinion on how and why suddenly changes just like that, and it changes numerous times over the year as well. And that's a beautiful thing about our field, because it's not governed in any way. It's not like goes to there because of this reason. We're all experimenting just for that one goal. Whether you've got a voice recorder or whether you've got 1,000 cameras set up in one place, or whether you've just got a medium in there that's trying to get readings and stuff like that. We're all trying to, we're all associated with that one goal, and it does it, and it's ever evolving with me. And like I look back at the 20 odd years ago when I first started, and man, my opinion has changed so much over the years with the things that I've captured and my own personal experiences, the things that I've seen, and more, and the things I've felt as well. And it's not me suddenly saying I'm a psychic medium and I should be like doing readings and stuff like that. But it's that sense of how your ability evolves within the field as well, which is one of our other points that we'll come to in a minute. But yeah, it's a great plus about the field for sure. The next one on the list, social aspects. So I'll start off with this one. There's a lot of pros and cons about the social aspects about the field, but kind of the good points are, like, obviously you get to meet some phenomenal people throughout the field, and obviously places like social media help. Without Facebook or places like that, we wouldn't know the people that we know. Like that's a kind of a big plus for social media. And for when I first started many years ago, and Lynda, you can testify to this as well, there wasn't, we didn't have a network of paranormal investigators, and it was only the communications that I did locally within England was sent by letter and waiting for articles in newspapers and stuff like that to come out. That was the only kind of way that I knew how things were going within my community back in the UK. But with time, obviously, we've got the Facebooks, we've got Twitter, we've got all those kind of avenues. You meet some really great people in the field, and very dynamic people as well that honestly have the same passion and the same goal as what we do or I do, and it does inspire you as well, because all these people have a different mindset as well, which gives you that continual learning ability as well. Prime example, Western Idaho Paranormal. Like, I've known for best part of about 12-13 years, and like Cathy as well. I've known Cathy for a very long time as well. It's
very long time.
It's a very long time, and it's amazing, and how you go along within the paranormal field. Then all of a sudden your small circle of friends become your paranormal friends as well, like the people you trust, because you're in the trenches of them as well. Like that kind of dynamics where I had my friends before, and I still have them now to this day, but most of the friends that I hold closely to they're all part of what I do, and that's the most interesting part and the most exciting part as well. Sorry, I blabbered on a bit then. Lynda.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. I mean, gosh, you're right. Having been in this field, 42 years? You're right. At the beginning, it was all word of mouth. It was, my friend told me because her friend knew a friend who told me that her friend knew you through, and it's not like that anymore. I mean, social media has really opened it up. But yeah, we meet some phenomenal people. I have some of my best friends are people that I've investigated with, that I've been on teams with, that, there's just this, I don't know, there's just this camaraderie that you glean, when you're in this field. But apart from the people that you do all of your investigating with and that you meet on investigations that are fellow paranormal investigators, you meet some great people as clients, and some clients of mine throughout the years are still friends of mine. I've kept in touch with them. They're stellar people. They're really wonderful, wonderful people. So yeah, that's a really great thing. It's a plus. You meet some astoundingly wonderful people. You do.
Just in the social aspect of, not only are you able to help, like you said, strangers and all of this, but even your friends. We've been able to, we've made friends definitely through, doing what we do, but also just being able to be there and be able to help, particular friends, but also ourselves and our own family too at times, right? Because there's been, there's been times where even my kids have come to me and said, Mom, hey, I think something's going on at my house or whatever. And being able to have that experience and knowledge has been such a blessing. But, we've met people that we never would have been able to meet otherwise.
It gives you a brand of confidence as well, more so. Obviously, what I do with my daytime job as well kind of helps to that, and the traveling I did as well. But I found when you're talking to people about something you have that greater enthusiasm for. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert on the subject whatsoever, but I've been around the garden fence a few times in relation to it. It does help with your confidence more than anything else, and I find it's a win-win for that respect.
Yeah, even in the condos that I live in, we live in townhouse condos, and it's interesting because some of the things that we've experienced here, I've talked to some of my neighbors, and they've just once you mention paranormal or that you've done this in the past or whatever, it's funny how they'll bring up something that is very similar to what's happened in my own home, and you're like, okay. you know what I- and where it's coming from, because of the fact that to spirit there's really no barriers or walls. Like, they're just doing what they need to do, right? This is open air territory for them. But it's really interesting, but it's also calmed some of them down too, where you're it's like, okay, look, don't worry, this is just what's going on. But even on the celebrity part, like, I've met a lot of people, we've been able to meet a lot of people, and or just have those conversations with people. And some of my closest friends are in the paranormal field, and it's nice. It's funny because I think that it was you, Peter, that had posted the meme today. If somebody heard our conversation, we should be in the loony bin or something like that. And I remember sitting with our team after an investigation or something. We'd be at Tim's or wherever, and you're thinking, I wonder what the people behind us are thinking. Like, they got to think that we're just whacked, right?
Truth.
Totally wacko, that's for sure. Well, a lot of reason why I posted that is because we did the Longhorn the way back, and it was like a 14-hour drive. And by the time we got back to Kamloops from Gooding, me and Jason were very slightly delirious at that point, and we were just laughing at really stupid things. It was almost as if we were both stoned, and we were just sitting in the back garden laughing at silly things. But it is, and the things we talk about as well. Like, you couldn't talk about it. I couldn't talk about this with my wife or anything like that, because she thinks I'm nuts anyway.
Smart woman.
Yeah, no, she's right. Moving on. So next one on the list is the sites we get to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy.
Oh gosh, I don't know if we've done a whole lot of historical sites, to be honest. I think that's been more your guys' thing. To be honest, like, we've done a lot of I would say department stores, like big chains. We were called into those. Of course, we can't mention their names. Just saying. But we've been called into a few of those, spas, different businesses. It's just unfortunate that we're not really allowed to talk about it. We were able to do, I wouldn't say historical sites, but we were able to investigate the international airport. They did call us, which was pretty cool. We did investigate Fort Edmonton Park, which that one was big for us. And it wasn't so much that we really investigated it. We actually did a spooktacular. So they have a spooktacular event every Halloween, and we were called to see if we would set up like a booth, sort of, be part of the spectacular event. And during the process of that, we were kind of investigating as well and all of that. But the reason that we were called for that was simply because of our reputation, because we did have an honest reputation. And they knew that they could trust us. They knew that we weren't going to go in and fake evidence or create some sort of, nonsense or anything like that. So that was actually quite an honor for us to be able to go there and do that. You and I have investigated the Maritimers Museum.
Yep.
And where else did we go? I know I'm forgetting something. Where else did we investigate, or is that it? No, we investigated the Fort Worden. Fort.
Yeah, of course we did. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Fort Walden down in Washington as well, and the Maritime Museum as well, which interlinks the court. It's actually connected with the court in Victoria as well, where you must have heard of Judge Begbie, that kind of thing, and there was a lot of energy associated with that places as well, that kind of thing. But for me, yeah, it's that like when I started, I did a lot of kind of castles and stuff like that in England. I was very, very fortunate at that time because there wasn't many ghost hunters or paranormal investigators than what there is now. There was just a handful, and there was a lot of opportunity there to do fundraising and stuff like that. So, the historical sites as an overview, if it's in the UK or if it's Australia, New Zealand, or Canada or the United States, it just the paranormal part aside, it's just really interesting as well to learn that entwinement of history and what went on in these places. And it's not always trauma or that kind of thing where people had their heads chopped off and stuff like that. Some of the places that we go to, there's one actually in Merritt, the Kilkenny House, where you get the story of what went on there, and it's like a movie, and you get to walk as a part of that movie set as well, and it is interesting. And sometimes where you do get that piece of the puzzle that interlinks with the history, it makes it all the better as well. It kind of gives it that validation, but more so with the where you get to walk where the public can't walk and stuff like that, and learning about the history, how it happened rather than what's alleged by the site and stuff like that as well. Phenomenal. It definitely keeps it spinning around for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, when I first started, I did nothing but private residential investigations. And then as I joined a team, we were invited to go to places. For instance, in Toronto, we were at Gibraltar Point Lighthouse. We've done so many incredible things. Fort Erie, which was a lot of fun. We're going to Fort Henry, and we do a lot of local landmarks as well. So that's always fun. And going and visiting these places that you wouldn't ordinarily go and visit and see it from that perspective and hear all of the stories. And it's really interesting and it's exciting. You learn so much history. And again, you meet the most incredible people who've had the most incredible experiences. And sometimes you have them as well. So it's so much fun. It's just so much fun. I love the history. The history is probably another thing that is a plus. We learn a lot about history.
Yeah, we don't have much history here in BC in comparison to anywhere from BC onwards has vastly more history than what we do here. That's why I'm more favourable dropping down the States, because anything that goes up within 5 minutes is not down within 5 minutes as well here in BC. So anyway, different story. Okay, so the I guess the final plus point that we had was the learning and the education in relation to the field as well. Kathy, I think by Kathy's turn to start, isn't it? Was it mine or?
Yeah, you go ahead, Peter, if you want.
Oh, you go ahead. I think it's two-sided with me. I think in relation to a lot of the technology I learned over the years, like cameras and how cameras operate, that kind of thing, that's really helped me, and that's kind of been a feather in my cap outside this field as well. Like, I mean, obviously being a paranormal investigator, if I get that piece of photography evidence that I want to give to that client, I have to know the variables, what's involved with that camera, and I have to have an understanding of how that camera operates. And a lot of me is kind of, self-teaching myself, not so much with Google and stuff like that, is asking those experts of, people that do photography and people that know how cameras operate and stuff like that, to educate myself how those things work. A lot with the technology as well, things like the audio equipment and like the sound with my voice recording and stuff like that. I've learned a lot over years. I've self-taught myself on that because of the fact I'm interested in it, because what I want to do, and I want to better myself in the field. I want to have sophisticated equipment that is able to go that extra mile rather than carrying something that would be redundant in relation to evidence, that kind of thing. And when I say that, it'll be more so kind of things that are, that are equipment. They're not, paranormal equipment where you've got that piece of jacked up microchip inside that piece of plastic that just squeaks and whistles for no given reason. That for me, that's helped me a long way, and with that kind of thing. And also personal abilities as well. You definitely sharpen your own pencil when you go to investigations, where you start opening yourself up a lot more to the environment you're in as well. And it's kind of a form of meditation sometimes, and that's why a lot of us get paranormal hangovers, where the next day we're just totally drained. It's just like we're just sitting there in sometimes darkness, sometimes light, and we're saying nothing. But then all of a sudden, like, everything's opening up broadly within our own mind and our body, and we're just putting our feelers out there without equipment or anything like that. And it adapts over the years. You get to the point where a few years into it, everyone gets that sixth sense, but it's a little bit more, your gut feeling becomes a little bit more reliant when you're going into certain investigations, and in life as well. You become, you're more confident with your decisions as well, because you've developed that ability inside you, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it's that ever evolving thing, and that for me is definitely a plus.
It's interesting that you bring up the senses, because obviously I'm a reader, and that's what I do, right? I do readings for people, and a lot of readers that are out there now are, ones that are just reading love or romance or, whatever it is. Whereas for me, I got thrown into it through the paranormal. So I didn't get the warm fuzzies, when I started seeing things or, experiencing things or just knowing. It was boom, it was some of the worst shit, sorry, excuse my language, that you're experiencing, and you have to learn to work your way through that process without retreating into yourself or retreating in general or just walking away from it, right? Like it's a personal physical, mental struggle that you've got to push through it, because when you're seeing some of this stuff and you're not sure if you're just whacked in the head, which, of course I probably am, but, then you're getting the validation from the clients, from what you're seeing and what you're picking up. And you're getting validation from perhaps, news articles or internet searches or whatever it is. When you have that validation, boom, and you've just seen it and you know what's going on, it's a whole different realm, and it's a whole lot different than, yes, he's gonna call, yes, blah blah. It's not that love fuzzy reading that a lot of people that I, have worked with throughout the years have, that's their majority of readings. And so it was, I had to learn backwards, I guess, to get into the warm fuzzy ones, right? Rather than, go up to like, it was just, there you are, and you had to really learn. And that, for me, I truly appreciate that now, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, I really appreciate that now, because there's a lot of things that there's so much in the universe that we don't know about, we haven't experienced. I've been able to have a little glimpse of it. And we all have, as investigators, and probably more so than the average Joe. And for that, I'm truly grateful, right? Because, some people are going to, look at something in a 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional way. And we've had that opportunity to look at it in such a broader horizon. And I think that in itself is just a blessing.
Oh, I like that. That's really true. I mean, I look at it as a personal educational experience in every sense of the word, because not only are you learning about which pieces of equipment you shouldn't use, and also, which equipment has evolved. It's kind of like, which music ages well and which music doesn't, when you in terms of equipment, but also personal learning experiences too. I mean, I've always been interested in the esoteric as well as just the fundamentals of ghost investigation. So when you have a client who's experiencing things, I really find it interesting to delve into and do research on things like elementals, and if they feel that, they're having angelic visits, well, what does that mean? What does that entail? So I really enjoy that educational aspect of it. So that's part of it. And learning how to better interact as well with not only spirit, but also with your clients. That's a real learning curve. And I really think that the longer you do this, the better you can get at it, the better you can hone your tactful skills. You can go in positively and work with all kinds of different people and really learn to work with them at different levels. But I don't know, I just think that it's a really huge personal learning experience in every aspect of the word. So that's such a positive.
Pretty much. Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. Totally. Okay. So from the good side to the bad side. Okay. So starting with the top. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. The paradrama that comes with our field. And this is such a vast topic that we could probably end up filling the rest of the show up with. But I'll just kind of put it into bullet point form in relation to what I feel. So the negative side of the field, a lot of it is to do with this paradrama bullshit that does go out with other teams. There's that sense of rivalry between Team A and Team B, where Team A feels that they have to find that golden cup somewhere, which in essence, there's no such thing as a golden cup, because there isn't that that finish line that we're looking for, and that element of success. And there's a lot of teams that develop egos because they go to better places, they feel, because that bar has a reputation of being haunted, so it must be haunted and stuff like that. So they create like bragging rights over other teams, and it does it creates a lot of drama between other teams, and it has with my own teams over the years as well, where I've had to adapt my own team and evolve in a different direction to get away from that. And then also as well the internal drama that goes on within your own team as well. I found over the years that the bigger the team I got, the more babysitting I had to deal with. And I don't get me wrong, when I left BPS, I left with a great team. But before that, I was dealing with the best part of a decade of I don't want to work with this guy because he's an arse and this and that. And it was just it was a huge cancer within my team. And there was a lot of it where A couldn't get along with B, and you'd have to make excuses why they were excluded on investigations and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. And also honesty as well. I found over the years that 90% of the investigators I recruit within my team had different agendas to what we did and what I had, even though that they seemed to tick all the right boxes at the time, and they lied a lot as well, and I caught them out. I mean, I know pretty much every bullshit line that ever to go around, and there's like, people make themselves so transparent on social media these days, where I remember conversations, and then 5 minutes later they're going and they say they couldn't come out for an investigation because this happened. Next thing you know, they're walking around a park next day taking pictures of wildlife. It's just stuff like that, and it just, if you don't have that element of trust within your team, you might as well just pack your bags up and just go it alone, because without trust, your team's not nothing. That's what I feel as well. And it's definitely a downside to the field, and it does put a lot of people down sometimes. And I know some very good investigators I met through when I was associated with TAPS that actually left the field because of the bullshit that was created within their own team. And it's a cancer that, unfortunately, we will never get rid of. Kathy?
Go back to me. Do you mean like the drama within teams? Is that kind of...
Drama in the field altogether. So with other teams, that animosity, and also internally as well with, team members and stuff like that. The drama that goes on with the field as a general.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, this could be a whole hour, but within the teams, I mean, definitely, there's been, I would say probably more minor things, within the teams here though. We try to, I mean, I remember we just, we did have to deal with this one particular, I wouldn't say it was one incident. It was a huge, it turned out to be a huge thing. And it was unfortunate because it really took away a good thing that was for the public that we were doing on a regular basis. Like, we used to have weekly meetings for the public, and as much as we possibly could, do. And, we had some people that thought that we were, raising all of this money or collecting money or making a fortune from doing these free events. Well, they were a $5 entrance fee, I think it was. You know what I mean? And, and it turned out to be such a mess that I just went, I'm done. I'm doing this, out of my own time, not only investigating, but doing these events. Why would I do this, for somebody, some cranky person who's just, got a really bad personality. Let's just put it that way. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my time to do this. So that was unfortunate because it was a loss to the public as well. But, as far as teams go, we thankfully haven't had to, deal too much with other teams, but we did, there were definitely teams here, within the city that were either charging or they would lay down some BS for these clients that we ended up having to go up and go and clean up their mess. Right. And that was something that we really just didn't want to deal with, especially if those other people charged them. Right. Because now we got to go in, clean up your mess, and we're doing it for free. Meanwhile, this other team walked away with money, and that was like, not that we wanted the money, but it was just like, why should we be cleaning up your mess? Like, we shouldn't have to be cleaning up your disaster. And then, of course, when you get into the bigger, more international, side of it, there are definitely scam artists in the paranormal field, which I won't mention because
don't dig too deep into that, because I think that's our next subject. So
yeah, I'll let that be for right now. But that's probably it for now.
Okay.
Lynda?
We got rid of that one from Kathy. Jesus.
Yeah.
Lynda.
Yeah. Drama is never good. I've had it. A lot of people that I know that are really great teams. They've had it as well. And I think it's part of the field. It's not going to go away. And if you've been doing this for a long time and you've had a team for a long time, honestly, you really have to all jive. You have to totally be doing this for the right reasons, for almost the same reasons. You have to really, you just have to jive as a team. And if you have people on your team that are, look at me, look at me, look at me, that are more narcissistic, who want the focus on themselves all the time, that's going to come out. And that does not bode well. Because, you're all in this together and you all have your own fortes. You all have your own thing that you're really good at. But bottom line is you take it all for the team, and what you do is for the team. You have to respect boundaries. You have to respect each other. You learn from each other. There's, really good constructive criticism that can take place. You don't feel offended. And it takes a while sometimes to have a team and get a team that really jives. But, I've had it. I've had drama on my team. I've had, all kinds of things. People that I know have had all kinds of things happen where, someone or people on the team are, there's a conflict of interest. And again, Kathy, you said it really well too. I mean, if you have somebody on your team that is going to charge or charges for what they do outside of your team, then that's a conflict of interest. We do everything that is for free. Everything is for free. Every follow-up is for free. We don't charge for what we do. But, I know people that have had teams where someone on the team might perhaps own an esoteric business or whatever. And then outside of the team will contact one of the clients and say, well, if you're having a problem, I can go and smudge and get rid of things for you, but it's going to cost you $50. I mean, that can't happen. So there's always drama. There's always boundary breaking, but you have a good team when that doesn't happen. So, I have a great team. Just saying.
It gets you down as well. I mean, obviously, because you put your heart and soul into what you do, and when it comes to your team as well, because both you ladies run your own teams and stuff like that, and you bring them in, and that one person, that one rotten egg, went underneath your radar and create complete shit amongst your team, and it's just like, it just blows. Like, it's like, why do I do this? And it's like, why do I go through all of this where this kind of thing happens? And for me, I'm always thankful to this day. I did that big reset where I walked away from taps. I walked away from VPS not because of the team I had, but things that went on before. I just started all over again, and I created my own template of exactly what I wanted to do rather than pleasing other people. And it worked for me. And Kathy did the same as well, which is honourable as well at the same time. Okay, so the next item, and this is kind of what Lynda brushed upon as well, the thankless side of the field of what we do. And that can kind of roll into the fact that we don't charge as well. That could be kind of two pieces as well. And I think that with me over the years, particularly in BC, where we've had to do a lot of driving and financially support an investigation, where we've had to provide our own accommodation and stuff like that, where we've gone the extra mile, and then we've managed to validate or disprove clients' claims with with a natural reason. We don't even get a thank you, and it's not the fact that a lot of times we're looking for financial reimbursement, which where everyone says that we shouldn't charge for investigations and stuff like that, but when you're going to an investigation and you're putting $140 into your gas tank there and back, a contribution towards gas, I feel goes a long while. I don't want profit out of it. It just, some reimbursement for not the time, but the gas that we paid to get from that investigation, that kind of thing. and it's it all runs in parallel with each other, I feel. Cathy,
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
you didn't hear what I was saying? Oh, okay.
No, it's like I thought you literally. I thought you cut out. It was just like boom. You just stopped.
No. So the next subject is the thankless side of the field, and the fact that we don't charge.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we always accepted donations for sure. I mean, it was always. I thought it was. If people donated to us, fantastic. We never asked for it though. That was something that we refused to do. We wouldn't even let any of our team do it because you always, especially if you have a larger team, you've always got somebody in the background that's like, well, we should just and they're and we would be like, no, you know what, we're here. If you don't want to do this, if it's not a part of what you want to do, you're going to have to exit yourself, because that's not something that we're going to put on our clients, and we're definitely not going to make them feel guilty for this. Like, this is not why we're here. If at the end of when all is said and done, they give us a donation, we're going to be grateful and leave it at that, and probably even put it back into equipment or whatever, but there was, the thing is, it's not just so much about the donations and stuff like that, but it was like you had said, Peter, is just the appreciation, I think, was something that definitely can be lacking, especially when you're putting a lot of time, and people don't quite realize how much time goes into it, how much time. It's volunteer, but it's time. And you would get phone calls or random messages, and hey, this, and we even get that even now, even though I'm not an investigator anymore, somebody will send me a message and be like, oh, hey, on Facebook. And this is somebody I have no idea. For my friends and my family, I'm there for them, because these are people that, I love and care about, but sometimes I'll get random messages from somebody I haven't talked to in freaking 10 years. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, I know you're into this, blah, blah. Can you just quickly, but it's not quick. It's not quick, because I answer, you're going to respond, I got to answer. And you know what I mean? And they're always going to argue with you, or they're going to have their own idea, or they have to then talk about their childhood of when they saw Mickey Mouse dancing on their ceiling, or what the hell, who knows what they come up with, you know what I mean? But it's never quick. And at the end of it, and we get that a lot, as even in my other job, like doing psychically and stuff like that, it's like, hey, what do you think of, and again, friends and family, I'm fantastic with. Of course I'm going to do that. I don't even think about it being, anything but, right? But it's like these random people that you haven't spoken to or never spoken to. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take my precious time.
It's funny you should say that.
It's never 5 minutes. It's never 2 minutes.
No,
it's
the same as me it's the same as me being a plumber. It's like, as soon as someone finds out I'm a plumber, everyone wants to know me. It's just like, oh, how's the family? How's this? I've got this problem. I don't even know you. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, right? Or a mechanic. I guess it would be about the same thing, like a mechanic or a doctor or a nurse or whatever. It's, oh, hey, I've never spoken to you, but what's this lump on my ass? Like, it's the same kind of thing, with us, right? It's like, I've never spoken to you. I don't know what the hell's flying around your kitchen. I don't know. Like,
that's funny.
How should I know? But 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 at the end of the day, you don't get that, for them to just, 90% of the time, you don't even get the thanks. Oh yeah, Mark is a hairdresser. Yeah, because Mark is a hairdresser. Oh yeah, can you just trim my bangs? Like, well, can you just
actually, Mark, can you come and do my hair, please? I need a bit of hair.
People don't realize, like, this is your, your job or your profession, and they're getting something really for free. I mean, even if it's our hobby, the thing is that it's still our time.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, the thing is that, hey, a hobby could be painting. It doesn't mean you're giving away your paintings, right? You know, if you're doing something as a group, or you're doing something, you know, for your learning experience, or, you know, one of the reasons that we're doing it is to help people, but not to get into these. A lot of these things turn into arguments, or they get it. Well, no, you know, especially the orb pictures, right? It's not an orb, it's dust. And we'll get these pictures of, you know, some, oh, hey, I just vacuumed and then I noticed all of these orbs around my living room. And you're just like, yeah, it's dust. No, I swear to God, it's my Aunt Betty, and that's the end of it, and blah, blah. And they are going to argue with you, and you're like, I got other shit to do.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's when they say, I want your educated opinion on what this picture is. And when you say it's dust, they just lose their absolute minds over it. And it's like, well, sorry. Anyway, Lynda.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thanklessness is really something too, because I realized that when I started to do some public investigations and public walkabouts and things like that, for the most part, people are very grateful. And we're really blessed because so many people are so thankful and so grateful to us. But, you know, there's that select few that when you take them on a public walkabout or public paranormal investigation or investigative experience, I mean, and you tell them up front, you know, ghosts don't perform on command. But we've had people you know, message us, leave. I mean, they just leave. And then they'll message us and say, well, that was really damn boring. Like nothing ever happened. Like, it's ridiculous. I can't understand it. Like, this sucks. I didn't even see anything. Didn't even see a ghost.
It's almost like they want the ghost hunt to be like a burlesque show. Like, I'll just throw money on the table. I'll throw money on the sidewalk, and they have to perform now. You know, like
exactly.
Last public investigation I did, there was 4 ladies, and I didn't realise at the time, otherwise I wouldn't have taken them out, and they had a bit too much vino before they went out, and it was more they were like giggling like little girls and stuff like that, and they were like, oh, he's English. Look at his accent. Say fish and chips. Face. I'm like, fish and chips, Mary Poppins, all right. And they're like, hee. And I'm like, it's just a waste of time. But,
too funny.
It wasn't at the time. Okay, so last one. It's I guess Lynda's last subject actually was the caution we should take in the field as well. And to be honest with you, I'll be totally open book with things like attachments and stuff like that. I was very skeptical until a few years ago, until something happened to myself. Probably I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, where I did get a spirit attach themselves to me. And followed me home, and I was fortunate to, get rid of it and stuff like that. I was like, to that point, I always thought it was a very, I just thought it was people with a very active imagination of an investigation, where they've gone into that place and they felt the environment, and all of a sudden they're hearing creaks, bangs, wallops and stuff like that, and they've taken that back home with them, and things that are, things that were natural to them before have suddenly become paranormal. And that's what I used to think until that instance. So with that, it's we should always take caution in relation to what we do, and it's not, I don't believe in the white light. Well, each person has a different methodology of protection and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think, in all honesty, it's a lot of it is how we communicate with the afterlife more than anything else. If we're respectful to what, if I'm respectful when I'm talking to both you and Lynda, you're not going to get, pissed off with me or anything like that, and you're certainly not going to follow me home. But it's more to do with the fact of, at the end of investigations and stuff like that, we just go through a kind of thing where we say, okay, thank you for your time, and just please don't follow us home and stuff like that. And it's just something we do for that extra protection kind of thing.
How about you,
Okay.
Lynda?
Lynda.
Or me? Okay, I'll go.
No,
We've never really had anything. I've never really had anything. I guess technically follow us home, except one thing it was more positive, and it was more like, I don't know, kind of playful. You know, it wasn't anything that was negative. Thankfully, it was something that was positive, and it was very playful, and to be honest, it was kind of cute, and you know, and that and then it stayed for a couple of days, and then it just sort of disappeared on its own. Like I noticed the activity wasn't around after a day or two, and I just sort of let it be and do. I think it was just more or less checking us out than anything else. Like, it wasn't. There was no. I didn't feel any negative intention behind it or anything like that. It was just more playful, and I was okay with it, to be honest. Like, not saying that I would be okay with another attachment doing that, but this one, I noticed it right away, and I felt it right away, but I didn't feel anything negative from it. And it was one of those things, but when you say that, you always have to, even though you might not at that moment feel anything from it, you still got to be aware, right? You still got to have your, you got to be a little bit more cautious just to make sure that it's not something that's going to hang around for too long. And it didn't, it just kind of went back to wherever it belonged after a couple of days, and that was the end of it. So I was okay with it. But that's the only time, thankfully.
Thank goodness. Yeah. I've had something follow me, and I had forgotten not to tell it, I'd forgotten to tell it not to. These are, rookie mistakes. But as you do this, I mean, you have to keep reminding yourself that this is not a joke. I mean, what we do is very serious. Mm-hmm. We deal with energies that we can't sometimes see, but that we can feel. Mm-hmm. And we have to remember to always protect ourselves in whatever way that we feel protected. And that varies for everyone. So, but it's very important.
Absolutely. And we've all, to some degree experienced how when we're not protected or even when something is, I guess, more negative or even just upset or just a very high energy, how, it can get very serious. You're right. It can be it can become very serious or, a little scary, right? So 100%.
Okay, well, that wraps up another week, guys. Be sure to tune in next week, and for you guys that have just tuned in to us, please like and subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bar, the I Want to Believe channel. And we will be back next week with another great, interesting show of It's Not an Orbit's Dust. Sorry. I forgot what show it was then. Okay, It's Not an Orbit's Dust. See you guys next week. Bye.
You're still on, Peter.